This is episode 32 with Dr. Ed Group. Welcome to My Kid Cures Cancer. My name is Ryan Sternagel, former regular guy turned dad collegist, cancer coach, and health advocate. Each week we'll talk to a new expert on a particular aspect of beating cancer or human optimization to bring you one step closer on your path to true health. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now let's dive into this valuable, life-saving information which you're not going to hear about in a mainstream hospital. All right, everybody, in the midst of the quest for the perfect diet, perfect supplements, perfect treatments for cancer, and even the quest to find the root cause for that matter, one man stands back and dares to ask, what if we just drank water and nothing else? Turns out quite a lot, and we're going to hear all about it from Dr. Edward F. Group III, who founded the Global Healing Center in 1998 with the goal of providing the highest quality natural health information and products. He is world-renowned for his research on the root cause of disease. Under his leadership, Global Healing Center has earned recognition as one of the largest natural and organic health resources in the world. Dr. Group is a veteran of the United States Army and has attended both Harvard and MIT business schools. He is a best-selling author and frequent guest on radio and television programs, documentary films, and in major publications. Dr. Group centers his philosophies around the understanding that the root cause of disease stems from the accumulation of toxins in the body and is exacerbated by daily exposure to a toxic environment. He believes it is his mission to teach and promote philosophies that produce good health, a clean environment, and positive thinking. This, he believes, can restore happiness and love to the world. And like I told Dr. Group in the interview, this was really cool for me to get to do it. It feels like every few weeks on this show, I'm talking about having some sort of a full circle moment, getting to interview someone that's really meant a lot to my wife and my family and I on our own cancer journey. But Dr. Group was literally the first guy to ever get me even thinking about the importance of health at all, really, from being a guest on a show I used to listen to, and that started the chain reaction from there, from me just being interested and seeking out more information, which would eventually lead to my wife and I being able to hit the ground running as well as we did when our own son was diagnosed with cancer. So needless to say, we're pretty big fans of Dr. Group around here, and he did not disappoint with the interview at hand. We talked today about water fasting, the act of drinking nothing but water for several days on end, and why anyone going through cancer or any other degenerative disease or anyone that wants to be super healthy and not get a disease should be paying very close attention to this practice that also happens to be entirely free. In fact, less than free as you save money on the food. Dr. Group started off talking about his own colorful history running a cancer and degenerative disease clinic and some of the most important things he learned from that experience, namely simplicity. Yes, there are a whole lot of things you can be doing outside of the standard of care for cancer, but if you haven't taken 2 steps back and gotten your hands firmly around the basics, are all of your organs and cells fully detoxified? Is your gut functioning at 100%? Are you mentally well? Have you incorporated fasting into your routine? If these things aren't fully online, then you will always be swimming upstream when it comes to cancer and disease. We then got into the incredible health and anti-cancer benefits of water fasting, which include growth of new immune stem cells in your body, turning its full and undivided attention to breaking down any diseased or malfunctioning tissue. And this is a guy who leads by example, as we talked about his own water-only fast, which he just got off of, which lasted no less than 18 days, and how not only he was able to do it, but ended up only losing a few ounces of muscle over that entire time. We also had a really good analysis of the difference between fasting-induced ketosis and nutritional ketosis, which is what more of the high-fat ketogenic diet you always hear about that is described as a fasting mimicking diet, but are you really getting the true benefit? And near and dear to my heart, we even had some really good insight on children fasting, which I really appreciated him being willing to speak to. So if you have a child whose health you are attempting to optimize, you will definitely want to stick around for that. And on that note, very glad to have you here with us at My Kid Cures Cancer, where it is our goal to bring all sides of the discussion on how to heal cancer and be truly healthy to the same table to give you one place to tune into for the most well-rounded perspective possible. This is a show for people going through cancer, by people going through cancer, inspired by my wife, Teddy, and I's experience with childhood cancer, bringing our son Ryder back from a stage 4 cancer diagnosis to the happy, healthy little boy he is today. If you aren't dealing with cancer and want to keep it that way, this show will likely be very helpful to you as well. We'll get to Dr. Group in just a minute, but just to be safe, first, I think I should let you know that the information you hear on this show is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you do not already have an infrared sauna and you're really serious about upping your health game, I would strongly encourage you to get one. Especially now that we're in the Christmas season, perhaps consider getting something for the whole family's health that will last for years to come. And if you do, you know how much we love our son Lighten for all of the efficacy and safety testing it goes through. You certainly want to know that your sauna is producing the desired effect, and also that it's not producing any undesirable side effects, such as electromagnetic fields or toxic gases from cheap wood or glue. And with Sun Lighten, you get all the good and none of the bad. And as always, you get $150 off any model for mentioning that you heard about it on My Kid Cures Cancer. And speaking of making a healthy improvement to your home, if you have not already, be sure to go to mykidcurescancer.com/healthy-home to get our healthy home checklist and start making your home a healthier home today, because at the end of the day, you can't have a healthy body if you live in a sick home. With that, I bring you Dr. Edward F. Group III. Welcome back, everyone, to My Kid Cures Cancer. We have with us Dr. Ed Group. Ed, thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. It's both of our mission to try to get people the most accurate and useful information as we possibly can, especially when it comes to letting them heal disease and putting them in the right direction and letting them understand what the root cause is of what they're suffering from.
Yeah, no, and like I was just telling you before we started recording here, it was I've had a lot of people on that we've been following, since kind of day one of cancer diagnosis for my son or shortly thereafter. So that's been really neat. But I think you were literally the first person that I ever started hearing just talk about health and why detoxification is important and all this stuff, and really even got me thinking on this level at all. So I've had a few full circle moments over the last few months doing this show and everything, but this is probably the granddaddy of them all. So this is really neat for me.
Well, thanks. It's neat for me. Anytime I can help anybody out, it's all about helping people. That's what I'm here to do, and it's what I love to do. And there's no better gratification to know that you've educated people with the right information, or that you're taking steps and you're sharing information with people to make a positive change in their life, someone they know's life, or in that matter, for the earth itself or the universe or whatever. So it's fun.
Very good. And I know we don't have a ton of time today, but real quick, do you just want to let everyone know kind of, your, what am I looking for? History with health, how you got to be doing what you do today, and what it is you do today, for that matter, if you had to describe it.
Yeah, not a problem. Well, I started off over 25 years ago. My dad was a chemist and come from a family of allopathic-minded individuals, medical-based. And I originally wanted to go in and be a heart surgeon. Ended up meeting a guy that was doing cancer research, alternative cancer research. Sparked my interest. Ended up on his research team. Our job, this was before the internet, by the way, so it was extremely hard to find doctors that were treating cancer with natural medicine. Now you can get online, but back then it was all word of mouth, and they were all underground, most of them, because they were threatened by the pharmaceutical companies and the governments if the information got out. So our job was to find all those doctors, learn what they were doing, and then present it back. He was part of a team for MD Anderson. That's when complementary alternative medicine was coming into the United States, and MD Anderson in Cleveland and all the Bethesda and all these main hospitals were, oh, let's go ahead and look into alternative medicine because of the pressure. Long story short, we were amazed. Everybody, this was in the 1990s. And at that point in time, cancer was a big deal. And we were all brainwashed to think that there is no cure for cancer out there. The only thing that you can do is chemotherapy and radiation. We found out that MD Anderson was the leader in the 90s, and they only had a 4% success rate measured on a 5-year survival. So we knew, just like they knew, that the cancer comes back after 5 years in 90-something% of the cases. And so we were actually amazed and blown away. I mean, even if you could get a 10% success rate with cancer, we would be saving millions of lives. And these doctors were getting 40%, 30%, 50%, 60% success rates, which was just unheard of. And when we presented the research, it was, we had to sign NDAs. We were followed around in black cars. I was actually thrown in the back of a black car before taken to an undisclosed location, threatened, told us we better never get this information out. They took all the research and just squashed it, which is a very common thing when you're talking about trillions of dollars of money in pharmaceuticals. So that's how we got into it, and we went off on our own and started our own cancer clinic in 1998, 1999. We were doing a lot of detoxification and cleansing. One of the key points that we learned from these doctors, the most successful doctors, is that the biggest mistake natural doctors make, especially with cancer or degenerative disease, and we saw this, is that patients go in naturopathic school, chiropractic school. It doesn't matter what natural school or natural doctor you are, but you're still taught to prescribe. You're still taught to address the symptoms and not the root cause. And there were very, very, very few doctors, by the way, in the world that were successful getting 50% or more success rates with cancer. Very few, probably 25 or so. All of these successful doctors were doing something different than all the other doctors. What they were doing were taking 2 steps back, and they were focusing on the self-healing mechanism now we have, and they were focusing on the root cause of the problem and not the symptoms. And they knew the power. They knew that we needed to take 2 steps back before we take 2 steps forward. They knew the gut was not working efficiently. They knew the liver was congested, because you don't get cancer or you don't get any disease unless you have congestion of the liver and the gut is malfunctioning and the immune system is malfunctioning. And the self-healing mechanism, your body's own self-healing mechanism, is below a certain percentage, usually below 40% activity. The most successful doctors, were always cleansing, detoxifying the body. That was the number one priority. Because then when you give the body the nutrients it needs, or you give the body the therapeutic compounds or the anticancer or immune stimulating compounds it needs, the body can take it and utilize it and function a lot better. So that's why we knew that detoxification, cleansing the body, cleansing and repairing the gut, multiple cleanses of the liver and gallbladder, cleansing of all the parasites out of the body and the harmful organisms, which we found was a big, big component. Royal Rife even was talking about the BX virus. We know that people with cancer have extreme levels, high levels of fungus, viruses, mycoplasms, worms, all of that stuff. We knew we had to clean that out of the body, kill all those organisms. And then the last stage was to get rid of all the chemicals and heavy metals that have been built up in the system for so long. Now, you can incorporate ozone and hyperthermia and all the other really high-tech, 714X and Laetrile or whatever you're wanting to use during the time that you're fasting or you're detoxifying the body or cleansing the body or letting the body know that you're here to help it reactivate its system. So we ended up doing those techniques in the United States and ended up getting shut down and raided by the FDA and told we could never do that again. So at that time, and ever since then, our philosophy has just been on general wellness, detoxification, and simplicity. Because a lot of those doctors that we met with that were the most successful said to us, forget about everything you've learned in school. Just forget about it. Get it out of your head because it's clogging up the way that you're thinking. You don't need to take blood work and look at it because blood's going to change every single day anyway. You don't need to use the medical system and all that stuff because when you start detoxifying or water fasting, whatever, you're going to have all these numbers going like this, going like this, going like this. Everything is in simplicity. What if I told you you could drink nothing but water and cure every single disease known to man? So forget about all the schooling that you had. Forget about everything that you've been taught. Forget about having to have 600 nutritional supplements and giving people a bag full of 30 nutritional supplements when they leave your office. Simplicity, 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 simplicity. Sunlight, rest, water. You go into a doctor's office and you spend less than 7 minutes with the doctor and you get a diagnosis and some prescription medications and then you're kicked out the door. What we did in our clinic, our cancer clinic and degenerative disease clinic, if you can get rid of cancer, I mean, all the other degenerative diseases are just super easy. Okay. Cancer is the hardest. Degenerative disease is easy compared to cancer. Cancer, you got to take it a whole nother level up. You got to go into one thing we learned from these doctors was that they not only would look at the person's body, they would look at the person's life. They would look at the person's work. They would look at the person's environment. They would go to the person's home and evaluate their home for toxicity. It's not just about the person or just about the patient. It's about the environment that that person or patient exposes themselves to and lives in. And you'd be amazed at what we would find in these homes, from fault lines, sleeping over fault lines. We had a testicular cancer patient, 18 years old. We couldn't figure out why he wasn't improving. Went to his house. He had a huge fault line, electromagnetic radiation or geopathic stress, really, coming up through the earth into his bedroom, and the readings went off the chart right where his testicles were. So we moved his bed into another room, put some copper wiring around, we fixed all that, and he ended up getting better. We've been into patients' homes where their air conditioning vents are literally black with mold. They're using all types of toxic chemicals. They have an air freshener producing phthalates right next to the bed where they sleep. We would come into people's homes in the morning and just to see what they were doing and find that they had a laptop plugged in on top of their stuff they slept with all night long. They just fell asleep while they were working. They had a cell phone plugged in on their bed too. So it's about evaluating the whole environment and making that whole environment a peaceful, non-toxic, clean environment for them to live in, so their body can naturally function and detoxify, and their self-healing mechanism can be strong enough to attack and to keep the body in a balanced state.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's funny. The more I research cancer and this side of cancer anyway, the less I actually think about cancer and more just, how do we optimize the body and let it do what it's supposed to do? Yeah, and I'm glad you made such a big deal out of the environment. That's always a really big deal for us. It's our little thing on our website is we have our healthy home checklist, and it's literally just everything you could possibly do to remove all the toxins from your house and do all sorts of healthy, listening to healing music and, detox baths and whatever else. So it's just, it's big. It's overlooked a lot, but it's kind of everything on the same side, at the same time. So yeah, now I just want to talk to you about all that stuff you just went over. But, I did hear you give a really, really good talk on water fasting at the Truth About Cancer, and I know you've actually been bombarding my YouTube channel with your ads, talking about talking about the what how long of a day fast were you doing, and are you still doing it, or have you just gotten off of that?
No, I just got off of it a couple weeks ago. I did an 18-day water only fast. It was not a grain of salt, not a grain of pepper, nothing. People think, I tell them 18-day water only fast, and they still can't believe that I didn't put anything inside my body. They say, oh, well, you must have had like a juice or something, or you must have had a bite of an apple, or you must have had anything. Nothing. I mean, not even brushing my teeth with toothpaste, except for once every like maybe 3 days, and then spitting out the toothpaste. Nothing touched my stomach except for water for 18 days. So that was a great experience, and I just wanted to let people know that fasting is not something that you should fear at all. And I wanted to document that. It's been done for thousands of years. And talking about simplicity, there is no faster way that I have found in all my research to produce stem cells, to heal the body, than water only fasting. But it has to be water only. It cannot be actually, juice fasting and all that. Those are all good too. I'm not saying they're not. But there's a certain part of healing that takes place when you just do water only. And that's when you shut down the digestive system completely. Remember that research now is showing that even one standard American diet meal, let's just say a fast food meal, one a day for lunch, which might be a hamburger, bread, French fries, a shake, or even like a 42-ounce carbonated beverage, that can actually sit in someone's system for up to 72 hours or longer, where the proteins are turning putrefactic, the fats are turning rancid, and the carbohydrates are fermenting. They're turning into a big toxic dump site. It can take your body up to 90% of your energy levels for one meal a day, one standard American diet meal. It can take 90% of your energy levels for up to 3 days. So you can imagine that if people that are eating 2, 3, 4 meals a day, eating late at night, drinking alcohol, we're understanding now that the body is completely overwhelmed. All of its energy sources that it would use to heal itself are all being consumed in the digestive process, in the gut. So the body never has any energy. Talk to a million, you could get a million people over the age of 30, even now, young people, and say, are you feeling tired? And everybody's going to say, yeah, I'm just fatigued all the time. I don't have any energy after 2 o'clock. It's just, I'm tired. I feel like sleeping. That's why so many people are on stimulants all the time, whether it's coffee, tea, Adderall, whatever they're on. They're always looking for those stimulants because their body is so burned out. And especially when you throw the stress factor in there and all the negativity that people are exposed to now every single day in the media, and you're looking at that depressing the immune system as well. The body doesn't have time to heal itself. It doesn't have time to repair. As a matter of fact, it continually gets worse and damaged every single day that you live your life. So in order to regenerate the body, in order to regenerate and build the self-healing mechanism, it all goes back to simplicity again. And what the old cultures used to do with water-only fasting to regenerate the body during at least once a year, maybe twice a year or whatever. So your body goes through and produces and fixes and spends its energy. When you shut the digestive system down completely, then the body can actually start going into ketosis, and you'll run on ketones for fuel instead of glucose. But not only that, around the third day that you're on a water-only fast, 72 hours actually, study by USC, says that your body starts producing stem cells, immune stem cells, which means in 3 days of a water-only fast, you can regenerate your immune system and start producing immune stem cells. That's pretty incredible. After about 6 days, 5 to 6 days, your body goes into what's called autophagy. That means your body knows now that most likely you're doing a fast, and your body is going to focus all of its energy on healing and repair. And your body will start seeking out and destroying and eating any abnormal tissue. How this works really, really good for cancer is that cancer feeds on glucose anyway for fuel. So doing a water fast, you're already taking the main food from the cancer away. Cancer can't stand ketones. It starts to die. The body rapidly goes into a phase of regeneration, seeking and destroying any abnormal tissue, which would be cancerous tissue. And the body will pick the area of the lowest energy. So if you have a tumor, low energy level, even though there's lots of blood flow there, you still have like an aura of your body that would be a low energy point. So basically your body is going to focus on the area when you're water fasting, going into about day 5 or day 6, when your body switches into that autophagy phase. And the autophagy is where your body seeks and destroys any abnormal tissue or any diseased tissue in your system. And it's going to start attacking that and chewing it up and focusing its energy stores, because at that point in time, it knows that you're most likely not going to be eating. And that's why it's so important that you cannot eat anything if that's your main goal. If that's your main goal, to regenerate and for your body to start attacking and regenerating and cleaning up any abnormal tissue in the system, then that's what's going to happen around day 5 or day 6. And that's when your body's going to go into that rapid regeneration mode, where your body actually starts regenerating. For example, a study was done on a 40-year-old man. He went on a 14-day water-only fast. At the end of the 14 days, all of his blood, all of his organs were measured, and he had the body of a 17 to 20-year-old male, which means a 40-year-old male that was unhealthy in 14 days reversed his body to a 17, 20-year-old male. Now, I don't know of any supplements out there that will do that. As a matter of fact, I don't know of anything. Even a stem cell treatment would take 6 months to do that. So in my eyes, again, it comes back to simplicity, the simplicity of things. If someone would have told me 25 years ago, hey, you don't need to study anything. All you need to do is study water-only fasting. All you need to do is figure out, this is what's going on. You can heal practically anything with water only. Back then, I was probably pretty brainwashed, so I probably would have said you're crazy. But now I know, because I've done enough research on it and pulled the last 2 years, pulling as much research and looking at as many case studies as I possibly can. It almost reminds me of 25 years ago when I was meeting these doctors and I was just blown away with the success they were having. Now I'm blown away again. I mean, I don't know what else, maybe 10 years from now, someone's going to say, just breathe air and be a breatharian or something. But I've actually looked into that as well. And there are some people that are doing that. But no, it's just about the simplicity of things and the benefits of water only fasting for all different types of conditions, especially cancer. Your study came out, girl had lymphoma all over her body, 14 days, water only fast, lymphoma was completely gone, non-active. And so it's amazing what, listening to your body, resting, drinking only water, and using your mind, meditating, what that can do to the body and how fast the body can regenerate itself.
So it might be kind of an obvious question, talking about the need to not eat anything, but could you maybe go into the difference between nutritional ketosis and like a fasting ketosis? Because that's, all the rage these days is talking about ketosis in general, but something tells me you might have something to say about the difference between
Well,
the high fat
nutritional, yeah,
ketosis
I
and
know. Nutritional ketosis is just when your digestive system is still working, obviously, and you're just taking out all the carbohydrates and you're just putting in foods like fats and meats and stuff that are not going to really contain a lot of glucose, and you're just putting yourself nuts and seeds, for example, and you're just supplementing with more fat and protein, which I don't like. I think a lot of that is wrong, actually, the nutritional ketosis. I am a fan of ketosis, but not a meat-based paleo ketosis program. I'm more of a fan of a vegetarian-based or a vegan-based ketosis plan. And I don't think people should be on the a ketosis diet for a long period of time, maybe 2 or 3 week stints at a time, and then altering their foods and then back on. Now, this is totally different when you're into fasting ketosis, when you're doing just water. The big difference is one keeps your digestive system working, the other shuts your digestive system down. So the nutritional ketosis, although it's more or less geared around being in ketosis for weight loss purposes, because when you're in ketosis, your body really chews up the fat stores, which is a good thing, and starts eliminating any excess fat. And it does the same thing in water fasting as well. That's what your body is utilizing to produce the energy that it needs to heal the system. It's using your fat stores and your ketones for that. And until you get down to about 5% body fat, you don't have to worry about your body chewing up the muscle. As a matter of fact, in 18 days, I only lost 4 ounces of muscle mass. And that is a big myth that people think, oh my gosh, if I do water fasting or if I stop eating, I'm going to lose all my muscle mass. Well, if you don't eat the right way, you might, if you're not into ketosis, and you're just on a calorie restricted diet. But if you're doing water only fasting, as a matter of fact, your testosterone levels will go up and your growth hormone levels will go up, and you will actually be producing more lean muscle mass if you're able to do a few push-ups and you're able to keep your muscles active, which is something that I tried to do up until the second week. And even then, I still tried to do a little bit of push-ups here and there, or just something to I don't want to sweat, by the way. I mean, I did not want to sweat because I don't want to lose electrolytes when I'm water only fasting. But you can do one push-up. That's it. And then get up and rest a while. Then 20 minutes later, one push-up or one sit-up or 5 jumping jacks or one burpee, or something that you're going to keep your muscles a little bit active with.
nice.
So that's the difference between the two.
Yeah. And maybe time for one more. Do you I don't know if there's much out there on it, but I'm always interested in, how things pertain to children. Have you heard of any, anyone, any kids, or what's the youngest you've heard of someone doing a fast like this, for not 18 days, but any amount of time, or is there any physiological restrictions that come to mind for for a child, and just anything you can think of?
No, I mean there are a lot of case studies actually that were done with medically supervised fasting of children. But coming into the modern day medical umbrella, anything with children is, more or less a liability. So there's a blanket of fear that goes over all physicians saying, if I even mess with these children and something goes wrong, I'm going to have a huge lawsuit. I better just say no nutritional supplements, no nothing until the children's 12 or older. Although it was not like that in the past. Children could safely fast. I mean, there's a case study of an 11-year-old girl that was only something like 50 pounds. She was already extremely thin. And she did a 30-day water fast and again did not lose that much muscle mass. I can't remember what condition she had. There are case studies out there of children fasting. Children naturally want to fast when they are sick. And we are told to put crackers and bread inside their system and give them milk and give them all the crap that's not allowing them to heal. Think about that USC study that I was talking about, 72 hours, right? to activate the immune system, stem cells. Why do children usually, if you just let them go and let them sleep and give them water for 3 days when they're sick, most likely by the second day, they'll pop out of bed and they'll be fine because their body is already, children naturally will want to fast for up to 3 days. I haven't found any evidence that a 3-day fast is harmful to any child at all, 72 hours. Would I tell somebody to do it? Probably, that's a decision that's going to have to be made by the parent and something that you're going to have to decide on yourself or do your own research on, because definitely you don't want to go down that road. Do I think it's safe? Would I do it for my kids? Absolutely. My kids like to, sometimes they'll fast 1 day a week. They're 11 and 9. Would I put a child on a long water fast? I probably wouldn't go longer than 6 days, and I would monitor them depending if my child had cancer, let's say. I probably would do a 6-day water fast, and then I would do 6 days on a very ketogenic type diet program. And then I probably would do another 6 days and cycle it like that, because I would want their body to get into that autophagy phase and start cleaning it up and start, working on reducing that. I mean, if I had, to me, that would be my number one program. But I have talked to people that have done 3 days on, 3 days off with children with cancer, 3 days on, 3 days off, 3 days on, 3 days off, and not had any problem with it at all. The child gets a little, and really the child doesn't even really get that upset from what I hear either. I mean, there's an intuition that children have about their health that we take away from them. They want to touch a bunch of dirty stuff and put it in their mouth. That's how they build their immune system. But what do? We say, oh no, don't touch that. Oh, don't touch that. And then we, make them wash their hands all the time, When I was growing up, I was tromping in the ditches and the sewer ditches. And it was, just, we were exposed to so many different things. So that's my philosophy on children fasting. Any child over the age of 12, though, according to the research in the past, should be fairly safe, as long as they're not extremely skinny and have a good percentage of body fat. Let's say over 10% body fat. They should be fine.
Yeah, no, it's, my things, the parents should be the CEO of their kid's health or something like that they're not necessarily the expert in every individual thing, but at the end of the day, you bring in all the information and make the best decision you can yourself.
Exactly. That's what we've gotten away from, but we need to get back to. Nobody knows your child and your body better than yourself, but we just don't believe that, so we rely on people that know nothing about our child and nothing about our own personal health. So that's episode 1 of fasting, and we can come back with an episode 2 for your listeners too, and maybe you can get some questions from them too if you want to continue on with this little mini series on water fasting.
Well, that'd be neat. I'll take a poll and gather some questions, and we'll come back for more.
All right. Good. Well, yeah. Thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to coming on again.
Appreciate it, Ed. You have a good one.
All right. Take care.
Just drink water. Doesn't get any simpler or more compelling than that, for that matter. We've certainly done our share of fasting around here, but that just got me re-fired up about it. I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of that on Facebook and YouTube from us. And on that note, be sure to subscribe to the My Kid Cures Cancer YouTube channel if you have not already, for a whole lot of examples of how we go about implementing all this stuff into real life, along with more interviews like this one, including another interview very much like this one, as Dr. Group was gracious enough to offer to come back on and fill in any gaps. So if you do have any questions on water fasting after today's interview that you'd like him to address on the next appearance, you can send those to info@mykidcurescancer.com. And as always, word of mouth is the number one way this show grows, and we reach the people that need this information. I bet you have at least one person in mind that really needs to hear what you just heard. Let them know about it. You can find the podcast download, YouTube video, and highlight article all at mykidcurescancer.com/ed-group. Decided to make it easier on you than Edward F. Group III. And of course, if the information you just heard was worth at least $1 to you, and each other expert interview you heard was worth at least $1 to you, then consider kicking in towards the cause and pledge $4 per month at mykidcurescancer.com/crowdsponsor. Crowd sponsor is all one word. Lord willing, we'll see you next week with longtime cancer healer Judy Seeger, where we'll be talking about a whole lot of simple detoxification techniques and rebalancing those emotions, which if you listen to last week's episode with Dr. Meg Hayworth, turns out some pretty important thing to know how to do. Music was provided by the Fat Rat and the Tasty Network, and all editing was done by my one and only Teddy Sternagel. If you are going through cancer, the most important thing to keep in mind, above all else, is to keep going. This is Ryan Sternagel. That's all from me for now. God bless and Godspeed.